everybody. So this is a screencastify for our first official science experiment. All right, so as you can see on the screen, today we are going to be growing gummy bears. We're not going to plant them in the ground and water them, but water is part of the equation. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to practice an effect called osmosis, and we'll talk about what osmosis is after we conduct the experiment. But that's basically what this experiment is. It's the transfer of water to a solid. It's as simple as that. This experiment is going to have to go overnight because it takes 24 hours for the effect to occur. So just make sure that you put your covered, drowned gummy bear in a safe place so it doesn't get knocked over and then spilled and then, your experiment is ruined. So just make sure that you place your cup in a safe place so it doesn't get knocked over, because it'll take about 24 hours for it to take effect. Since we don't have class the very next day, I still haven't quite figured out how we're going to do that. What I think we might do is, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. You might have to keep your gummy bears in water for like 2 days. I haven't thought that far ahead yet, but we'll talk about that on Monday when we do the experiment. All right. So, anyways, what are we going to do? So this is what we need. We need a cup of water. Okay, so I'm going to pour some water in there, and it's going to be enough water to completely cover the gummy bear. Okay, we are going to need gummy bears. Okay, I got a big old giant bag here, but please don't buy a big giant bag from Costco like I did. Okay, so you need gummy bears. And I chose 2 gummy bears because you need 2. All right, you need what they call the control gummy bear, and then you need the gummy bear that we're doing the experiment on. Okay, okay. Alrighty, and then you're going to need a ruler. Right, that's right. You need a ruler. All right. So the first thing, so we're also going to need our lab notebooks. Okay. So I decided to make things a little bit easier because I realized that cutting out the lab stuff was really complicated. So I figured, you know what, we're just going to keep everything nice and neat in the notebook, and we'll do it that way. I think it'll just be better and a lot simpler, and a lot less time consuming. So our our experiments are going to take a while to do, and I don't want to waste time on cutting things out. So the first thing we're going to do in our notebook is we're going to write the experiment name. Okay, so we're going to put the date of the experiment. So in that case, on Monday, the date will be the 22nd. All right, so we put the date 3/22/2021. Okay, so right there. Okay, and then I'm going to write the name of the experiment, which is growing gummy bear. Terrible handwriting. Okay. Growing gummy bear. All right. So we also are going to need to write in certain things because it's a lab book. And so we have to record everything that we do. That's what being a scientist does. They record everything. They write down what question they're trying to answer. Um, they they put down all the things that they use and how they actually went about it. So there's gonna be a lot of writing involved, but I think you guys can do it. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask the question. The question is what do you think will happen when you leave a gummy bear in water overnight? That's the question. So we'll make it simple and we'll write, what will happen to a gummy bear in water for 24 hours. Okay, so a little bit less words. Okay, question mark. Okay. So what will happen? Gummy bear left in water for 24 hours. Now remember, you can stop the screencastify anytime you want. You can always put it on pause or rewind it. Okay, so don't think you're like, oh my gosh, it's going so fast. You can always stop it and rewind it. So that is our question. We asked the question. So the next thing we're going to need is we're going to need to collect our materials. What materials do we need? And we need to record that. So we have 3 materials, what I just went over. So we need a small, so our materials, okay, would be small cup of water, small cup of water. All right, 2 gummy bears, and a ruler. Okay, so you're gonna write that in your book. Okay, all right. So now we're gonna do is we're going to make a prediction. Okay, we're gonna make it to. So we are going to determine what's going to happen. So when you do an experiment, it's always important to follow the directions. Okay, do exactly what you're told to do. All right. Because if you don't pay attention, if you're not careful, if you get distracted or sidetracked, you're going to miss a step or you're going to do something wrong, and then your experiment isn't going to work. So it's very important that you do the process exactly the way it's written. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to now, so we're going to make our prediction. Okay, so we have a gummy bear, water, a ruler, all right, and we're going to make a prediction. And our prediction is, will the gummy bear get bigger? Will it get smaller? Or will it stay the same? So you can make your choice however you want. Okay, you can make your decision, prediction however you want. I'm going to say that it's going to get bigger. Okay, so that's my prediction. Your prediction might be different than mine, but that's okay. That's why we do predictions. Okay, so I'm going to put my prediction is the gummy bear will get bigger. Okay, so that's my prediction. The gummy bear will get bigger. Okay. All right, so yeah, there's a lot of writing that you have to do before you even start the experiment, but that's what scientists do. They have to write everything down because, again, if you don't have the right information, you could really do some serious damage, especially like in a lab when you might be working with dangerous chemicals and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you're following directions. Speaking about directions, let's go ahead and look at those directions. Okay, so our first direction is to measure the length and the width of our gummy bear. That's going to be a bit tricky because they're kind of tall, kind of tiny. So this is where some help is going to be needed. So I would do is actually, yeah, I would prefer if you used a ruler that was metric, because a metric ruler is a lot easier to read than a regular ruler. So I would go with a ruler that has metric. Okay, so millimeters. Okay, it's much, much easier to measure with metric than it is with standard. Okay, so do that. So that means that our measurements are going to be in millimeters. So when we label our measurements, we need to make sure we label them in millimeters. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we want to make sure that we use the right side of our ruler. We want to use the metric side. All right, we want to make sure that we have it lined up with the edge of the ruler. We're going to take our gummy bear and we are going to measure our gummy bear. Hang on one second. Okay. All right, so I'm measuring the gummy bear. Okay. All right, so I'm measuring the gummy bear right there. Okay. And measuring it, it looks like it's about 2 millimeters in length. So 2 millimeters in length. So we are going to put before. Okay. All right, so we have 2 millimeters, okay, length. Okay. All right. So what I did here was I put a before and an after column. Okay, so our before column, so the length is 2 millimeters. So that's our length. We need our width. Okay, and our width is going across the bear, across his belly. Okay, that might be a little bit harder. All right, so we're going to take our little guy here and we're going to stick him right here, probably about midway. We're going to measure him. Okay, so measure him like that. So instead of laying down like he was before, he's going to be standing up. Okay, and it looks like he is 1 millimeter in length. 1 millimeter in, I'm sorry, in width. Apologize, in width. So 1 millimeter width. Okay, there you go. 1 millimeter width. There she is. Okay. All right. So remember I told you we have a control bear and we have a experiment bear. So the control bear, we are not going to put in water. We're just going to kind of put them off to the side. All right. Or what you could do if you want is you can get 2 cups and you put 1 cup that has water and then 1 cup is empty, and you can put the control bear in your empty cup. Okay, and then your experiment bear in your cup with the water in it. Okay. All right, so I got a cup. Okay. I'm gonna put the jelly bean in, or the gummy bear in. Boop. Okay. And then I'm gonna take my water and then pour water in. Remember, it's enough to make sure that you put enough in it so it completely covers your gummy bear. Okay. So what's cool is that gummy bears do not float, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so I didn't put that much water in, so you really can't see because it's not clear. All right, but I can kind of show you. So I have the water about up to here. Okay, so if you have a solo cup that's red like this, if you want to fill it up to this line right here, all right, that would be perfectly fine. Make sure that the water is not too hot, just room temperature water. Okay, so don't use any crazy, temperatures because it'll ruin the experiment. So just water that's room temperature, right? Okay, so I am going to go ahead and we're going to put that off to the side. Now I am going to film another screencastify on Monday morning, or actually Monday after class, with the results of our experiment. Okay, so I'm not gonna give you the results of the experiment just yet. So it'll be 2 videos. Okay, so we already did the first part of the video. We asked the question. Okay, what will happen to the gummy bear if in water for 24 hours? We got our materials, our small cup of water, 2 gummy bears, and a ruler. Okay. We made a prediction. My prediction was that I said the gummy bear will get bigger. Then we have our before measurements. So before putting the gummy bear in water, my gummy bear was 2 millimeters in length and 1 millimeter in width. Okay, so 2 by 1. Okay, and then I put my after next to it so that when I look at my gummy bear when I come back on Monday, which actually is a really good thing to see how it happens to the gummy bear over a 2-day period. So we'll see how that works out. So that's actually kind of a good thing that I did this on a Friday. Um, and then we'll see what happens. And then we will go ahead and do that. Oh, actually, there is one thing I forgot to do. If you can see it on the form that I have fill out, is I have the before and after. So what you could do is you can actually, what you should do, and I apologize, is right here. Sorry, right here, right here, right here. I want you right underneath the measurements. I want you to draw a picture of your gummy bear in its original size. So you could actually, before you put your gummy bear in the water, you can take your gummy bear and you can kind of trace him. All right, so you can kind of trace him. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trace my gummy bear. All right. All right. Come on. My pen stopped working. Of all the silly things. Goodness gracious. Okay. Okay. So this is about how big I traced it. It's probably actually a little bit bigger than what it should be, but that's okay. Okay, so I simply just trace. If you want to color in your dolly bear, you can, your gummy bear, you can, but that's how big it is before going into the water. And then when we do our after, we're going to put our measurements here and then our picture, and then we're going to write what actually happened. Okay. All righty. Well, I'm really looking forward to this experiment with you guys. All right. Hopefully, we'll have a good time with it. Um, and then, of course, we're gonna eat our gummy bears. So, all right. Have a good one, you guys. Have a good weekend. Or I hope you had a good weekend. Bye bye.